If you run a small business, you're probably answering the same customer support emails every single day. Last week, I built a simple customer support agent that handles the majority of that repetitive work using nothing but N8N and a single LLM integration. In the next 7 minutes, I'll walk you through how this workflow looks, what it does, and how you can use it to save yourself hours every single week. You don't need bleeding edge AI tools and frameworks to get real value from AI. You just need a simple workflow automation that actually works. Let me show you how it looks. For that, we actually need two simple workflows. And the first of them is used to generate a knowledge database that your actual customer support agent will use when trying to answer customer support questions. If we didn't have this separate workflow, we would either have to rely on your AI agent doing some kind of web search and looking for information online, which may be incorrect or outdated, or you would have to feed all your resource documents to the agent every time it needed to answer customer email. And this is slow and extremely inefficient in terms of AI compute. And since it's getting more expensive, it only makes sense to be efficient and only process your documents once when you create them or you update them. So let's try to run this workflow and see what happens. We trigger the workflow, it clears the old index, which may not be optimal if you have a lot of resources, but if you only have a few documents, then it doesn't matter much. Then the workflow finds the resource files in specific Google Drive folder. It downloads the file and loads them one by one, analyzes them using my chosen language model, which is OpenAI in this case, and it generates so-called vector database, which is just an efficient way of storing pieces of information in a way that's easily accessible for AI language models. And when it's done, we can look into the actual customer support agent. And at first it looks more complicated, but if you follow the path, you can see that it's pretty straightforward what it does. I can try to run the workflow manually and see what happens. We can see that it gets the unread emails. AI agent process the email using OpenAI model. And the output is that it doesn't seem to be customer support email. Let me send a fake customer support email to my email address and see what happens then. Once the email is in my inbox, I could wait for scheduled trigger, which currently happens every 15 minutes. But I can also just run it manually and see if it works. We can see that in this case, AI agent looked into our vector database, which means that it deemed the email relevant for customer support and looked for the answer. And it generated some kind of output, which we filter based on relevance. In this case, it was relevant and it was also covered by the resource documents, meaning it found the answer in the documents and it created a draft that we can review and send and mark the email as read. We could continue the workflow and send some type of notification like a Slack message, or we could also change it to send the email right away. We can check what draft was actually generated. We can see that it generated a simple response. Thank you for reaching out. Tracking numbers I mailed within 24 hours of shipment. If you haven't received it yet, please check your spam folder or let us know if you need further assistance. So it's a short and generic email which can be optimized. It can be written in a different type of voice, and it's all set within AI agent, which has a system prompt, which is basically an instruction how the agent should behave, just like you would train your actual employee and tell him or her the instructions. You also write instructions for your AI agent, and you tell it to analyze the incoming email and determine if it's something customer support related or it's something unrelated. And you tell it where to look for the answers, what to do if it doesn't find the answer, and what kind of language to use, and so on. The workflow also has some alternative paths. For example, if the email was about customer support, but the answer wasn't found in the knowledge database, it would create a task to update the documents to include an answer to this question, so that next time it can find and answer the email by itself. We also draft another kind of email that says that we will look into this issue as soon as possible and we'll get back to you. Finally, it could happen that one of the nodes failed during the runtime because of some unforeseen error. It could be because some service is temporarily unavailable, or maybe API keys expired, or there was some other kind of issue, in which case we route the error into a different node that creates another action to look into this workflow and fix it as soon as possible. And we also mark the email as read to avoid reprocessing it on the retry. This is how a simple customer support AI agent works, and you should definitely implement it into your own business if you haven't done it yet. If you need any help implementing it yourself, let me know in the comments or reach out to me and I'll help you figure it out. Thanks for watching.